The goal of this podcast is to help you break in and thrive in advertising. And we do that every single week by sharing the stories and advice of those rocking it on the other side. We also have our daily news on the whiteboard that you see in the background here if you're watching on YouTube. But follow us on LinkedIn. Look up Breaking and Entering Media for daily news in 60 seconds or less. All the headlines with a little analysis in 1 minute or less. So follow us there. Joshua Christie. Joshua is the guest today. He comes into our studio, sits down with us, an amazing human. He is the founder and music supervisor at Ronin, the company he founded around 1 year ago. So if you think about ads and the ads you love and resonate with you, music might be the thing that made it click through and reach you. Music is so interesting, the creative selection of it, but also Joshua is an expert in finding the artists and the managers and talking with the record labels to make sure agencies can actually use that song legally, which is very important too. So Joshua is an expert in all of this, but really we talk about business affairs, which is a whole other career path within advertising that we haven't uncovered before. Joshua is so interesting. We do some fun games as well, where we talk about his dream concert and his dream lineup for that. I throw out a couple brands and he throws associations with them. So stick with it. You'll enjoy this episode. You're going to want to connect with Joshua. Agencies especially connect with Joshua. You're going to want to work with him because he can get the job done. And to do that, head over to LinkedIn, follow him there, Joshua Christie, connect with him and send a message. Now on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. And as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. Joshua Christie, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. Thanks for coming to the studio today. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about you, your new venture, because you're the founder and music supervisor at Ronin. And you got a thing here. You say that on your LinkedIn you herd cats for a living. What does that mean?
Oh, well, I've had that for let's say 8 years now. Longer than that, 10 years. So when I worked at a video game company, I was the head of legal operations for Take-Two Interactive, and one of the lawyers was like, you know, when you are dealing with attorneys and trying to get attorneys to all listen to you and go in one direction, it's sort of like herding cats. It's impossible. Have you ever tried to herd cats? So I have always thought of myself in that way, and no matter what I do, whether it's been leading a legal department or being a legal assistant or a paralegal or a business affairs manager, and now being in music and being a music supervisor, it's exactly that. It's trying to get a bunch of people to move in one direction, and it doesn't always happen that way, but sometimes you can make a little bit of magic and it works.
For sure. So what are the people, you got people hooked. If they're here right now, your name, they're your friends, they want to learn more about Ronin. So what is everybody that's listening right now, what are they going to take away from this conversation? Are you going to inspire them? Are you going to teach them? What are they going to learn about?
Well, you're going to learn that my name is Joshua Christie. I love long walks on the beach, romantic novels.
Day.
Oh, yeah, it is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's. I meant to bring you guys candy and chocolate and all that good stuff.
Jack doesn't need it.
Or just alcohol. Just
that's
see,
more like
next time. All right, next time I got you guys. I'll ship some stuff over. I promise. I will. No, from this, I want people to know that I'm super passionate about music. I grew up in a very music-centric family. I personally don't have any music talent. I am horrible at singing. But I have a really good ear, and I am an entrepreneur with an entrepreneur mindset, and I can do everything that the big music supervision companies do and do it just as well, if not a little bit better.
Love it.
But there's no competition. There's enough money out here for everybody, and there's enough work out here for everybody.
But if you're going to work with anybody, work with Joshua.
Me.
Love that. I mean, your agency experience and your story, you know, I've been following you along for a while now, is so incredible. And at amazing agencies, we have to name some of these just high level. You know, breaking into A&E television as one of your first jobs, and then you jump over to agency life. You know, in the business affairs track. So we need to uncover that. But like agencies like Fig, you did a stint at Google, RGA, the Disney company, Wieden+Kennedy, where you crushed it there. Back to Fig, like these amazing shops. Now you're a full-time entrepreneur, something that I, you know, can resonate with, being in agency life, now being a full-time entrepreneur as well. So how would you characterize your career path in like a couple sentences, if looking back now before you launched this business?
I would say my career path is, you know, that meme where it's like life is not linear. That is exactly what my career path is. It wasn't linear. It's one of those things where I get bored very easily. And I'm like, all right, I need to try something else. And I sort of fell into advertising. When I started in advertising, I had no idea what it was. Actually, my first job was Droga 5.
Oh, incredible.
I don't have it there because, like, no offense to Droga, there's no shot. I was at Droga 5 for like 2 weeks. And then they had to do a mass layoff. You know, last one hired, the first one fired. So, but Droga was great. They set me up. They pushed me out to different places. And then they actually knew somebody named Sarah Jagowski, who was the director of BA at Fig. Yep. And at this point, I had no idea. This is my first foray into advertising world and BA. I had no idea what I was doing. And when I worked with Sarah, she was like, hey, I'm going to show you everything in business affairs in 2 days, because she was going away on a trip and I was just taking over her desk until she came back. I'm going to take 2 days. I'm going to show you everything BA needed. And then I'm going to leave you alone and you're going to have to figure it out.
It's insane.
At that point, I didn't know what an OCP was. I didn't know extras. I didn't know difference between a non-union and a union shop. I had no idea what SAG, well, I knew what SAG was, but I didn't know the intricacies of it. And 2 days, she taught me everything. Well, she taught me as much as she could. And
were you like taking notes? Like, were you recording
I was
stuff,
vigorously taking notes and sort of like shitting my pants.
Of course.
I was just like, sorry for cursing. And, you know, worried that I was just going to mess this up because I had no idea what I was doing. And then she left. And she was like, here's my number. Call me if you really need me, but
like, try not to, though.
But she was at a retreat, so she was like, I'm not going to have my phone on me. Sorry for putting your business out there, Sarah. I apologize.
Hey, people got to do stuff.
So,
you know?
This is like 8 years ago now at this point. So, she left. I was doing it. I did a big Buffalo Wild Wings campaign, which was like, I think there was like 15 different pieces, from social to online to broadcast. And that was my first time seeing like, oh, all this goes into making a 30-second piece of art. And apparently I didn't burn the place down, because when she came back, she was like, oh, there's some things I have to fix up, but thank you for all the good work. I'm going to pass your name around. And from there, she passed my name to Google, which I worked for. I worked on their pixel work for their phone spot, which was super dope. Google's a super dope place if you ever get to work. It's like I compare it to like a Vegas casino, because there are certain parts where you're walking and there are no windows and you never know what time it is.
Oh, interesting. It's just like our headquarters here.
Exactly. But they have food. They have
no,
5-star. They have like 5-star chefs. They have a gym, so you never have to leave. And then they have candy everywhere, which was
insane.
Which is great.
Can I pause you there? So I think this is so interesting. We need to uncover what business affairs is, so everybody's listening can follow along. So you had a 2-day like sprint, like a
tour de force,
an MBA like in business affairs. You learned it all, and you know, you mentioned a bunch of different words like OCP and all this type of stuff. We don't have to get into all the intricacies, but what is business affairs? Because we know advertising strategists, copywriters, account managers, producers, which put the stuff together and get the directors and the timelines and the budgets right. So what's the difference between BA and production?
Well, BA is a part of production. One of my best friends, Drizel, says I'm a bit wordy when I explain what I do. I basically do all of the legalities of a commercial. So we handle all talent contracts along with our talent managers. Shout out to Jillian Carrington, one of my favorite people in the world. We handle all of the IP work. So we do all of the music. We do trademark stuff, copyrights. We handle insurance. We handle finance. And then even before all of that, there's a person, I'm going to say his name. He's a friend, John Petty. He likes to call BA the no fun police. He likes to call us the feds because when we're a part of everything, when creative starts, you have creatives like John or whoever come and have these big grand ideas, and then you have the BA manager, me, sitting back like, I don't know if we can do that. We can't do that. Well, BA is everybody in legal, we always say we're not a no business where I'll see what I can do, but sometimes it's a no.
Right, right. And different shops probably approach it in different ways.
Yes.
And, like, I've heard stories about like Crispin Porter Bogusky in like the 2000s where the producers and the business affairs teams, they would go all in. I think there was an idea that they wanted to see if a brand can legally purchase the moon, like the naming rights. And the producers in BA went, all the way up to NASA. And they got to know from NASA. I mean, there's really nobody higher up than that.
As I've spoken, it takes a while to get to NASA too. Like I had to clear video for Google for a NASA with a NASA shot, and it takes a while to get to NASA. So the
timelines are short in this.
And the
industry.
fact that they did all of that to try to do something that, as a BA manager, you're probably like, yeah, you're not gonna.
Like it's not gonna work, but like they had to see it through.
Yeah,
to show like the denial letter.
And as a BA manager, I'm different than a lot of other BA managers because I come from the legal world. So like I have no problem like saying like, no, this isn't going to work, and no, we can't do this. But if you want to try it, I'm happy to go through the exercise. For me, I'm like, I'm happy to go through the exercise. We can go through the exercise.
Hey.
And I am not above saying I told you so. So
yeah, there you go.
So
I mean, that's what you kind of want, like that trust too.
Yeah.
If I'm an agency, a creative lead, like a John Petty, right? Like, and I can go to you even before the idea and just like talk it through before we spin our wheels about getting this certain celebrity or trying to use this song. And you have that insight. You know these people and all the talent managers, and you can tell me right away it's not going to probably work. And I already gut checked it too. You made a quick call. Then that's great. That saves the creative's time. We go a different direction. Client's going to be happier too.
Yeah. And then us as BA managers, we go to like all of these legal events like I went to yesterday.
Oh, that sounds riveting.
So yeah, it was an event about AI and how it will integrate with advertising in the future.
What's the high level takeaway there?
My high level takeaway, AI for me at least right now is just an aggregator. So you don't know if you have rights to this. You don't know where they're getting. So like music and AI. Who's to say that the music that the AI is creating isn't aggregating that information from other songs?
Yep.
That these pieces that they're putting together to create this piece aren't from other copywritten things. So
it's a touchy.
It's touchy, and I mean, if you use AI for just as a skeleton and or as just an idea kickoff, sure.
Yeah, but when you publish it.
Exactly.
You're opening up like some issues.
Can of worms. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked before, and you mentioned that you're not a fan of like stock, like anything stock. You want to get out there and find the right music, find the right like piece for that ad.
I'm a fan of stock, but what I'm not a fan of is like sync music. What
does that mean?
There's so sync music is music that's used for advertising, You watch Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Do you watch like, I don't want, it's bad to say, like I have a guilty pleasure of of reality TV.
Okay.
But
Try
you
it.
watch reality TV shows, you hear the music that's playing in the background. It's not popular music,
Right.
but it's music, but it's not like well-known music, and they all have the same sound.
Does
and
it have
feel,
lyrics to
and it has lyrics.
Okay.
Usually like 8 bars, or like they're 4-bar hook choruses, and they're just repetitive, and it's always been weird to me. I've always felt weird listening to that music, because some people make really good sync music.
Sure.
I am a big believer in, when I started my music supervision company, I know a lot of artists. I just know a lot of artists that don't know how to make money outside of, I'm going to put my money on Spotify. I'm going to go do like open mics and tour, and I'm going to see if I can tour and do my music.
That's like the traditional path.
That's the
right?
traditional
like
path.
You want to go get a tour, you want to get signed, and you want to like go like get those like YouTube views and stuff like that. But there's a whole other area to monetize.
There is a whole nother world. I try to tell people, like, it's a top 200, top 100, top 40 list for a reason. There are only but so many slots open for those artists. And, the way DSPs work and the way the labels work and how artists sort of get screwed and squeezed either which way, it's hard for artists to make money and not have a job on the side. And years ago, I met this woman that does music for just sync. She does advertising music, and she's like, I work 6 months out of the year, and I make my year's salary.
It's incredible.
And she's like,
she found a niche, and she can express herself.
She's like, I'm able to go out during the summer times and go on vacation with my kids.
That's incredible.
I can go out and just do whatever and just feel like a human instead of feeling like a robot and going to an office and working.
And it's probably good too.
Yeah.
If that's all she's doing, like very well. Like that's
great
her
for
craft.
your soul.
Yeah. Wow. And then how does she like get it, like market that, like her offering? She talks to people like you.
Yeah, she talks to people like me, but she's like, I like being able to walk down the street and nobody know who I am. But I write.
Could potentially be a star.
She's like, I write for people. I write for other artists. I write for myself. I do commercial advertising. She's like, I've been on teams that have written for big artists. She's like, I don't need to be the star. I just need to know that I can pay for myself and live the life that I like to live.
Would you ever consider helping musicians like on that side, like
on the
target this type of space?
So that's one of the reasons why I started this, because I would talk to musicians, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I need, just joking around, like, oh yeah, I'm working on, like when I worked for Wieden, I'd be working on ads, and I'd like, oh yeah, I'm working on something and I need something that sounds like X, Y, and Z. And they'd be like, well, I have music like that. And I'm like, and then I would respond like, hey, I already have like a music supervision company that we're going through, but that's dope. And then I would have a bunch of people saying those things to me like, hey, I have music. And this is sort of like what I sort of went through the same thing when I was in college. And people would come up to me like, hey, I have music. This is when I was like an intern at a record label. And, I always felt like I was a conduit to help people out and connect people. And I just didn't know how I'd be able to do it. So I sort of try to do that. But a lot of times I'll use and work with people that are a little bit more versed too in the sync world.
Sure.
So yeah.
So you're not opposed to sync, obviously. I was wrong on that. So, but tell me about like the power of music in advertising. How can this like transform an ad?
The power of music in advertising, like the Super Bowl weekend just proved it. Like, there's certain ads that for me I just remember because of the music. The Pfizer ad with the kid that beat cancer, and he's like running up the street in all the boxing gear, and you hear LL Cool J's "Mama Said Knock You Out." There's the Instacart commercial where I heard Trick Daddy's "Take It to the House," and in the back of my mind I'm like, yo, who the hell thought to license that? But it made sense because you're taking it to the house, and you have all of these. So, and for me, it's just like there's certain ads in my lifetime where I'm like, oh, I love this ad because of the music. Like Gatorade's "Be Like Mike." Oh, for sure. Which is probably like one of the bigger ones. Most of mine are like basketball, which is weird. The AI and Jadakiss rapping for Reebok. There's the Nike basketball freestyle where it's just the squeaking of sneakers and the dribbling of a basketball.
Love.
Which is dope. Music is, it's just like it's like a sense. It's one of your senses, it's hearing. So it just, the minute you hear something, like, you know, when you smell certain things, just like, oh yeah, I remember where I am. It's the association of the first place you were. It's just like that with music, whether it be an advertising or just an actual song or like a TV show. Like, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. Like, I was watching a pup named Scooby-Doo this morning with my daughters. And it was the first time I put it on in like 20 years. And I still remember the chorus. I still remember the theme song.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it sort of brings, it brings everything together. Like advertising would be boring without a soundtrack behind it.
Oh, for sure. So, and then who's usually selecting those songs? Is it the creative directors like that are like a part of that? It can come from anywhere. Maybe it's like they tried for one song, didn't work out, and then you can come in and be like, hey, here's some other options.
Generally what happens, I mean, it goes two ways. They'll ask me, they're like, oh, do you like to be a part of the creative process in the beginning, or do you want us to come to you at the end? And I actually like to be a part of the creative process in the beginning. And sometimes the creatives are like, no, we want to create, and then we'll come to you with a sound. But so what typically happens is they'll do the spot, and then they'll say, hey, we need something that sounds akin to this. And then they'll give me a prompt of what they want to hear. And then from there, I will go through my Rolodex and I'll reach out to people that I'm like, okay, you could create the sound. Or if they're like, we want popular music, here's a list of popular songs that we want. I'll find out an estimate of how much those songs cost. And I'll go back to them and be like, hey, this song cost X, Y, and Z amount of dollars. And yeah, that's how we go.
And you're calling up the manager,
I'm calling up the record labels directly. So
Gotcha.
All the labels have an advertising licensing side.
Yeah.
And I'll call them up directly, and I have a good rapport with everybody at all the labels. Some people I just don't know.
Yeah, of course.
It's just where it's like hi and bye. But then a lot of people, because throughout the years I've met them, we have a good rapport, and we're friendly, and we're cool with one another. Some people I'm just super cool with, so I can just call them on the phone. And yeah.
Tell me a story then. Give me a rundown of like this in action. Like was there ever a time where you thought you could do something, or or there was like, there's no way this is possible. I can't get X artists for this commercial slot. Give me something.
So a perfect example of my first spot. Well, the first thing I worked on after I left Wieden, and I wasn't even thinking about starting my music supervision company. JP, John Petty, he hit me up in the middle of the night one night after I'd left. He was like, yo, I have a Nike spot that I'm working on. I have an idea for Aretha Franklin. I'm not Aretha Franklin, sorry. I have an idea for Anita Baker.
Yeah.
And it was Sweet Love, and he's like, yo, can you think you could do that? And I was like, do you think it could be done? And I was like, yes, it could be done. Nobody in either one of those buildings, and I was talking about Wieden Portland or Wieden New York, I was like, nobody in those buildings can do it. I was like, I can do it. And it was 3 a.m. It was me talking shit, just bullshitting.
Yeah, you're just like...
I was just like me just throwing something out there, and I didn't think he was serious. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, awesome. It's good to know we can get it done. Yo, just let me know. And it was through text, and I was like, cool, sure.
Back to sleep.
And then a couple of days later, he hits me up. He was like, yo, how are we doing with the Anita Baker's track? And I'm like, wait, you're serious? He's like, yeah, I'm dead ass. And I was like, all right. And then from there, Anita Baker is notoriously fickle when it comes to her music. She doesn't license her music out for commercial use. And what made it doubly hard was it was the 40th year anniversary of The Rapture, which is her greatest album that she's ever put out, which had Sweet Love on it. So when I called the label up, they were very afraid because Anita Baker is very, very active on social media.
Okay.
And she comes out very angry sometimes, especially when it comes to her craft. So after like 2 days of like back and forth negotiations, we got it done. And I'm probably the only person in the ad world, ad space, that has Anita Baker as a license. But then the client came back and they said it was too much money. So we ended up giving them other music.
You went through all that, but you flexed, and that was probably a big moment for you where you're like, well, I can do this.
Yeah, that was.
And it's also probably a good lesson, like make sure you have the budget. Like this is going to be expensive.
True. I honestly was going to, John doesn't know this, but he'll know this now. I was actually going to do that for free. And then he was just like, the day he asked me, he's like, yo, how much are you going to charge for this? He's like, don't crack me over the head. And I was like, I gave him a number, and he was like, oh, that's it? Okay, cool.
And you're like, got it.
At that point, you're like, damn, I should have charged
always,
double.
Always.
But I didn't really know pricing at that point. I didn't know how much it cost. Like, I looked at other people, and I didn't think just a single person should be able to charge that amount. And now, knowing what I know now, I know my worth now.
Yeah.
But I was doing that just off the love, and just to be able to say, oh yeah, I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. Haha, I did it. And here you go. You have it for free. And then the minute he brought a price, I was like, all right, here's the price.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Like, it's your buddy, and like you don't want to like overstep, and now you know your value. Mm-hmm. And that always takes maybe for the people out there, it might take a free or like a reduced rate, and then you start pumping those up. Yeah. And that's something that we're always exploring too.
What I will say this, my couple of first mistakes when I started my business, I was doing like work on the cheap, just because it was like, oh yeah, they're going to say no to me if I ask for my pricing, the pricing that I should be asking for. So I was like, oh, I'll do it at this price, which is extremely lower than what I should have charged. And once you set a price for yourself, that's what people think your price is.
Right.
So what I will tell you, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're starting up your own ad agency, your price is your price. So go in with the high price and have them negotiate themselves down.
Yeah. Because then you might accept a deal, and then you want to increase it later, and then it gets tense, or they might not.
And then they look at you like, oh, are you crazy? Why are you increasing your price? This was the price that you had us before.
And then to the people out there that are buying services and expect it to go up, like, we're putting in hard work, and it's working for you all. Inflation,
cost of living always increases.
Paying for our own health insurance, it's freaking tough.
So there would pay. I always believe everybody's cost should go up every year. So
for sure,
that's how I treat my business.
Absolutely. Yep, and you get it done. So you've been doing this full time for how long now?
Full time for a year now.
How's it been going?
If you spoke to me last year, January, February, I'd have been like, I need to stop this and I need to go back and get a W-2 job. This is stupid. Who wants to be an entrepreneur? It's dumb. And then if you would have spoken to me like May, June, I'd have been like, yo, this is the greatest thing in the world. Everybody should be a fucking entrepreneur.
It changes.
There's so much money. It's just throwing money, wads of cash around. No, I wasn't throwing wads of cash around, but I was doing well at that point, and I knew I was on the right path, no matter how slow it gets at times.
Yeah, just stick with it. Ups and downs for sure. And what's next for Music Ronin?
Let's see. I'm hoping that people out there, you see this beautiful black face, and you're like, I want that guy as my music supervisor.
How can you not?
Exactly. You want this ear. You want this New York West Indian bravado talking to you on your Zooms. I would say what's next for me is I need more clients. I have a small list of clients now, and we're doing work with them, and I would love to have more.
I want to go through a fun exercise with you. You let me know if we can't do this,
but
I would like to list out some famous brands, and then you tell me an artist that you associate or you think they should associate with that brand.
Okay, let's do it.
Sound good? We'll just do a little rapid fire, just right off the cuff here. So we'll start off with just big brands, very famous.
Okay, sounds
Coca-Cola.
Good. Coca-Cola, big.
What are you thinking?
Damn, they already had him. So anytime I think of Coca-Cola, I think of Braun, but I know he's because of Sprite. Now Coca-Cola. Artist, big artist.
Or celeb, whatever you think.
Or celeb.
Yeah.
Honestly, damn. Probably. I'm trying to think of somebody like that hasn't been used already, or
That's okay if it's been used.
Yeah,
right?
no. I
Association,
mean,
yeah.
I always associate Coca-Cola with like big pop artists, so I would associate it with like, what's her name? Sabrina Carpenter. That would be a good one. I know she has a Dunkin' Donuts deal.
What about like a Facebook or Meta?
Facebook, Meta. I would associate. See, that's different because it's different. Meta is one of those companies that's global.
Yeah.
So 500 million people have the app.
That person's got to have the reach. Then.
I've been on Facebook since 2005. When it was just college students.
I think I got in like 11.
Yes, when it was just college students, you needed a college email to get on. It was the Facebook at the time.
Yeah, they brought that back before they did the full switch.
Yeah.
Remember that in like 2020 they brought the Facebook
back,
because I think they realized they were going to call it Meta and they want to just bring it back to the roots.
I would say somebody worldly. I would do like an Idris Elba for Facebook, just somebody worldly. And I think for all of the stuff they've been doing over the last couple of months, over the last year, they need somebody that can give them a good facelift.
Okay, gotcha. And last one, Jack's favorite brand is Starbucks. So we're curious now with the new work that they're doing. What did they do in that last ad, Jack? Thunderstruck was the last one. That's interesting. But like from your perception of the brand, what would you
for just like a celeb
or artist, music you would like associate with the brand?
You know what? I'm West Indian, and I would love to get more West Indian music on. That's one of my goals is to get more West Indian music on big ads.
Yeah.
There is a soca artist named Kes.
How do you spell that?
Kes. He is who I would love. I would love for there to be more soca artists. To shout out to advertisers. Yes, that is Kes. Advertisers, just know, and brands, there is more to West Indian and Caribbean music than just dancehall and reggae. There is 180 islands. There are different variations of music. What works in Dominica doesn't work in Jamaica. What works in Jamaica doesn't work in Trinidad. What works in Trinidad may not work in Barbados or Antigua or Grenada or Guyana. So that is one of my goals, is to get more Caribbean music out there.
For sure.
It's a part of my life. And
well, I'm going to listen to Kes right after this. And then on your Spotify Wrapped, because I looked at your phone, I saw Spotify on there. What's one artist that you want to share that was on your Spotify Wrapped last year?
Spotify Wrapped. Marshall Montano is a soca artist. He's always been my number one for like the last few years on my Wraps. Last year was Jay-Z for a while.
And then who do you think will be on your Wrapped this next year?
Yeah. Probably Kendrick.
Yeah.
Just because
so relevant,
my daughters, not even that is relevant. My daughters love TV Off. I know I'm a bad parent by letting them listen to the unedited version of TV Off. But my daughters love TV Off. And let's see, who else? Kendrick there, and Sabrina Carpenter. Her album is great. I love it.
Sabcar? Is that what, Jack?
Sabcar's a big one. Question. So your daughters are like Kendrick and you like Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes. I mean, I love Kendrick. But like I love, like, it took me a while. And then once I started listening to the album, I was like, oh, this is dope.
And that's me.
And I love pop music. I'm a TRL kid, so I grew up on pop music. So I was just like, oh, this is like good, nice, wholesome pop music.
Espresso.
A little cheeky, a little snarky at times, and yes.
And then what football team do you root for?
I am a Giants fan.
Yeah. So if the Giants were in the Super Bowl next year, who would you want to be the halftime performer?
Honestly, for a halftime performance, I think Bad Bunny should get like his own set. I think he is a global brand to himself. He's one of the best artists out there. But as a New Yorker, I would be remiss. I remember the last year that that the Giants won the Super Bowl, which was 2009, right? Was it the year that they beat the Patriots? 2009, 2000, somewhere around there. Undefeated streak, Patriots that we smacked.
Was that 7?
It was the last.
Yeah, Jack on the producer.
2008.
Yes, 2008.
2007, 2008 season.
Yeah, so when Ballin' came out, I would love for just the old nostalgic New Yorker. I would love for Jim Jones to perform Ballin' if the Giants ever got to the Super Bowl again. That's just me.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I love it. And can I do one more fun question, then we'll get into final advice?
Yeah, no problem.
If you were to craft your dream concert of an opener and a headliner, anybody living or passed away, who would be the opener and who would be the headliner? Jack said, who'd you say on yours when we did this?
Mine was, I think I opened with
I did
someone good, and then I closed with Michael Jackson. Someone opening for Michael Jackson. Oh, it was Queen opening for Michael Jackson.
And I did Led Zeppelin opening for Bruce Springsteen. I was like, that's a wild concert.
I mean, I've had this conversation with my friends. Like, I have a bunch of different concerts I'd put together. Like, I have an R&B set. But if we're just talking
your best
the
duo.
best of the best. So opening DJ, because most concerts have an opening DJ as people are walking in. It would be Jam Master Jay, opening set. Biz-Markie would be the MC for the night.
Love it.
Opening acts would probably.
We got acts now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm putting together a whole concert. I would put opening act would probably be Janet. I do Janet Jackson, or not in this order, but there'd be Janet Jackson. I would have SWV because I'm an R&B head, and then somewhere in there Michael will pop out for like a quick second, and then it will be the closing act will be the greatest artist to ever live on Earth, Prince.
Nice. That was our Super Bowl halftime for the Bears, the best one.
That's the greatest Super Bowl
when it started
show
raining
ever.
Yeah,
that was Miami too, right? Yep.
Yeah, we lost to the Colts, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey, we got the halftime performance.
Yes.
And he's from Minneapolis. We were just there. They have like murals of him there.
Yes.
Just a legend.
I don't get into Michael Jackson and Prince arguments with me.
Okay.
It's too many. I've got it. This is more for the people.
I mean that concert, like, with who's the guy? What's when he started to do Tom Petty?
Oh, there was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Me and my that's one of my favorite memories with my mom, because I wasn't living. I was living on my own. I was here in New York, and they had moved down to Texas. And I remember when the concert came out, they showed it on VH1. My mom called me. She's like, "Dude, did you see it?" And I was watching it at the same time. So we were on the phone watching it. It's the greatest guitarist ever. The man plays 19 instruments. He writes all his own music.
He produces everything, right?
He produced everything. He wrote for other people. He dances. He is the person that fought for the rights for other artists when it came to publishing and writing and owning your masters. He wrote Slave on his face.
And that's like you kind of carry that energy then. Like, you're really supporting, like we've talked before, you're trying to help out these artists too. Because the agencies, like, we love agencies. You're working with agencies. You're trying to make their ads amazing, right? Find the right music. But really, you're also an advocate for the artists, the people that do the sync music, and also that are like upcoming and even established people.
So with that, it's what I've noticed and what what artists have told me is that, other places that they've done music for, they take a large chunk of the artist's money. I don't take any of the artist's money. I get paid by the agency itself. I don't like to double dip, and what I've noticed is that a lot of music houses or Supervision companies, no shot, just pure facts. They double dip. So like there's one artist who told me, oh yeah, you know, I did a song for an ad, and you know, the Supervision company took money off the top for admin fees, and then it was a 65-35 split. And I was like, wait, what? They're like, yeah, it was a 65-35 split. So out of however much, this is how much I came home with. So what's your split? And I was like, I get paid a finder's fee from the agency. I don't take any of your money. You
Incredible.
get the invoice that I sent to the agency, I will send to you. You can see how much money that I'm charging the
transparency,
agency.
boom.
And this is how much you're gonna get. And he was just like, oh.
That's how it should be.
That's how it should be. I am a big believer in, again, trigger warning, I'm gonna curse again. I'm a big believer in not fucking the artist.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that because I worked at a record label. I've seen how labels work, and I am a big believer that, you know, the better you treat the artist, the better the work is going to be.
Yep.
And the more work you'll get because they'll want to work with you more.
Incredible. Final advice for anybody that wants to get into BA, an agency, break into this world, what would you say to them in 2025 today?
I was just having this conversation yesterday at a FKKS event. I think agencies, if you want good, really good BA managers, start looking at paralegals. I was a former paralegal, and paralegals are hungry. They are overworked already by law firms or in-house, and they would love the opportunity to come work for an ad agency and do this type of work that they already do, but be more comfortable with it.
That's smart.
For anybody getting into the business, especially getting into BA, know your worth and don't allow them to overwork you. And that's funny to say because I know a lot of BA managers that will see this will laugh and be like, no matter what, we're going to get overworked. But know when to say no when it comes to your own work. And yeah, it's just a job.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's just a job.
Yeah.
There will be another job, and there will be another agency, and just because the agency you work for, you don't think is as cool as the other agency, it's the same.
I love it. Well, Joshua, how can people reach out to you if they want to work with you, get on the call with you? What's the way to go for that?
You can reach me through LinkedIn, Joshua Christie on LinkedIn. I'm there. I'll probably be like second or third when you look me up. You can reach out. My email is josh.christie@musicronin.io. On Instagram, you can reach out to me on musicronin.supers. On Twitter. My Twitter, you don't want to follow me on Twitter. Never mind. My Twitter is just me ranting and raving about the Knicks. So,
okay.
Or I'm talking about music. It's one of the two. But yeah, you can find me there. And if you know somebody that knows me, they have my phone number. So you can just reach out to me that way.
Golden. Crushed it. Thank you so much for stopping by, telling your story. And I wish you all the best, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Nicely done.